Mind Sliver is powerful. It's a constant source of saving throw debuffs that's the bane of any intelligent deficient foe. And if you're tired of seeing your save or suck spells fizzle out, Mind Sliver is the answer to your prayers. Here's the spell description and the classes you can cast it. Now I'll cover a few tips for using this cantrip effectively. Up first, we've got Mind Sliver's primary function, which is to set up other spellcasters in your group. Mind Sliver's biggest value add is to set up another spellcaster to have a better chance of landing an important save or suck spell they have lined up. Spells like Hold Person, Hypnotic Pattern, and Polymorph spring to mind as powerful combos with Mind Sliver. It's also worth noting that the saving throw debuff lasts until the end of your turn, so you can also set yourself up, if nobody else forces the target to make a saving throw in that time, because as a reminder, Mind Sliver only affects one saving throw before going away. It is only a cantrip after all. Another tip for Mind Sliver is to pair it with spells that require repeated saving throws to maintain. Many spells with persistent effects or conditions like Confusion or Cause Fear will allow for the target to make saving throws to break the effect on each of their turns. Mind Sliver is a great way to improve the chances that powerful control spells like this last for a longer period, or even keep a spell like Searing Smite burning so that it continues dealing damage on failed saves. The fact that it's a cantrip means you can just keep spamming it at zero cost to your resources. Tip number 3 for Mind Sliver is to pair it with bonus action spells. Mind Sliver being a cantrip opens up the possibility of casting a bonus action spell on the same turn. For example, you can use Mind Sliver to debuff an enemy before following up with Compelled Duel or Ensnaring Strike. Or you could even use Hex on the same target to really stack some debuffs on a powerful enemy. Speaking of which, tip number 4 for Mind Sliver is to combine it with other saving throw debuffs. If you're looking to really ensure that a target fails a do-or-die saving throw, you can lay Mind Sliver on with some other similar effects. Things like the Bane spell, Sorcerer's Heightened Spell Metamagic, or the Shadow Sorcerer's Hound of Ill Omen feature are all examples. Tip number 5 for Mind Sliver is to bust concentration. While Mind Sliver is mostly good for setting up spellcasters, you can also set up your party's physical fighters by making a target worse at their concentration checks, which are just Constitution saving throws and therefore affected by Mind Sliver. This can be just as impactful as helping a powerful save or suck spell land, especially if you can help end an enemy's concentration on a spell that's damaging or shutting down multiple members of your party. My last few tips are class or subclass specific, but they feel worth mentioning. The first 2 tips in this category are for sorcerers or characters who pick up the Metamagic Adept feat. First up, we've got the ability to use the Quicken Spell Metamagic to immediately benefit yourself. The Quicken Spell Metamagic allows for sorcerers to make a spell with a casting time of 1 action into a bonus action. So you can cast Mind Sliver, weaken their saving throw, and then follow up with a saving throw-based spell as a bonus action. You'll hear some argue that the 3 sorcery point heightened spell is better and more efficient than the Mind Sliver and Quicken Spell combination, and they might be right. Still, this bargain version is well worth it for giving you better versatility than heightened spell overall, and characters with the Metamagic Adept feat don't have enough sorcery points for the heightened spell Metamagic anyway. Tip number 2 for Metamagic users is to use Twin Spell to debuff multiple foes before a saving throw-based area of effect spell. Affecting multiple enemies with saving throw debuffs is incredibly powerful for a cantrip, and there are plenty of good ways to make use of this trick. Examples include a successfully twinned Mind Sliver followed up by a Fireball. Talk about juicy damage. Or before a Hypnotic Pattern to enhance your chances of shutting down multiple enemies. And my last build-specific tip is to pair it with Eldritch Knight features. Their 7th level feature War Magic allows Eldritch Knights to make a weapon attack as a bonus action after casting a cantrip. This is dead useful for the concentration busting tip I mentioned earlier. First, debuff a target with Mind Sliver, then smash them with your weapon. And then there's the 10th level Eldritch Strike, which gives a creature disadvantage on their next saving throw against a spell you cast after you hit it with weapon attack. Use this after landing Mind Sliver, and you've got a minus 1d4 disadvantage saving throw against your next spell. This is incredibly useful for setting up big impact save or suck spells like Dominate Person. Alright, so Mind Sliver is definitely an S-tier cantrip in the right party, and those are some of my best tips for employing it effectively. I'd also love to hear some of your favorite uses and combinations for this spell in the comments below. To summarize though, good usage of Mind Sliver basically boils down to setting up other spellcasters, or yourself, before casting important saving throw spells. It's also worth mentioning that psychic damage, immunity/resistance is barely a thing in 5e, so Mind Sliver's modest damage is almost always guaranteed to land. While Mind Sliver is a fairly straightforward spell, I do have one rule reminder for it, and that's that Mind Sliver can stack with other saving throw debuffs. As the player's handbook lays out, the effects of different spells add together while the duration of those spells overlap. This means Bane and Mind Sliver on the same target would reduce their saving throw by 2d4. Note that Mind Sliver doesn't stack with itself, however. So those are the main uses and rules questions that come up around Mind Sliver. I think by now you already know my answer to this question, but let's cover it anyway. Is Mind Sliver a good spell? My answer is an emphatic yes. Mind Sliver is an incredibly good spell that borders on being overpowered when used optimally. Minus 1d4 on a saving throw within D&D 5e's system of bonded accuracy is much more impactful than you might realize at first glance. Mind Sliver also forces an intelligence saving throw, the only cantrip in 5e to do so. Since the average creature in 5e's main sourcebook has a minus 1 intelligence modifier, the lowest average among monster ability scores, Mind Sliver has the best chance to land of any saving throw based cantrip in the whole game. And psychic damage will nearly always land, as it's one of the least resisted damage types you'll come across. In short, any spellcaster every party in D&D 5e will be delighted you have Mind Sliver up your sleeve. The difference between a spell like Hold Person landing and lasting multiple rounds, or failing/breaking early, is massive for the momentum of a fight. Not to mention that lowering a target's Constitution saving throw makes it easier for them to fail a concentration check on a nasty spell that's shutting down your party. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you found this guide on Mind Sliver helpful and can show your appreciation with a like and subscribe. It's a massive help for small YouTubers like me. If you have any stories about using Mind Sliver in your own Dungeons & Dragons game, or questions about the spell's rules, please share them in the comments below. This is D&D Lounge wishing you the best of luck in your next spellcasting venture.